The first novel I ever read in Spanish was his, El amor en los tiempos del cólera. It was before I even took a Spanish class, and the fact that I understood what I was reading, as if by miracle, decided my fate. As much as I love his novels, today I'm bringing to you one of his lesser-known writings, a non-fiction book based on a true event, and the interviews that Gabriel García Márquez conducted as a journalist. An intense story, best described by its full original title. The story of a shipwrecked sailor who drifted on a life raft for 10 days without food or water, was proclaimed a national hero, kissed by beauty queens, made rich through publicity, and then spurned by the government and forgotten for all time. It starts with anxiety, fear of the unknown, real danger, and my old insecurities of not being a good swimmer. But I keep going, page after page, and somehow I start to embrace the adversity. The water keeps me afloat, my thoughts calm down, and I begin noticing the signs around me. This book makes me long for loneliness at sea. Number 1. A storytelling masterclass. The facts were simple. He went overboard, he drifted for 10 days, he reached land. And yet, without embellishing the facts, Gabriel García Márquez tells a thrilling story. The choice of writing in the first person, taking us right there on the life raft with him, the narration of the 10 days, each one with its own set of drama, and the simple words to describe the emotions of a man not used to talk feelings, these are only a few elements that make up a wonderfully constructed story. Number 2. Balance. When to fight and when to let go. Is letting go a mistake? Are you giving up on life? These questions keep turning as an undertone of the storyline. Balance between action and reflection seems to be the key to survival. If you look at this man's story from a distance, it speaks not only of his drama and endurance, but of human nature, of life lessons worth considering before getting into trouble, and of choices in borderline conditions. Number 3. Waking up the senses. It's fascinating how you can start salivating when someone describes cutting a lemon in two. The same thing happens while reading this adventure, as you find yourself thirsty and willing to drink some salty water even though you know you shouldn't. You're burning up in the midday sun, you're shivering in the pitch dark night. You hear the water against your raft. You hear the lonely seagulls cry. You are there. It is a story of resilience and strength. both physical and mental. A book that takes you through strong emotions and ultimately inspires you to keep going, as the answers are always there. For me, it has a young energy, motivating and inspiring. The shark's presence diverted me from my intentions. Discouraged, I lay down at the side of the raft, but after a few moments I was filled with glee. 7 seagulls flew over the raft. To a hungry sailor alone at sea, gulls are the message of hope. Ordinarily, a flock of seagulls will accompany a ship out of port, but only up to the 2nd day of the voyage. 7 seagulls over the raft meant land was nearby. If I had had the strength, I would have started to row, but I was too weak. I could barely stay on my feet for a few seconds at a time. Convinced that I was less than 2 days from land, I drank a little more seawater from the palm of my hand and again lay down at the side of the raft, face upward so the sun wouldn't burn my lungs. I didn't cover my face with my shirt because I wanted to go on looking at the seagulls, which were flying slowly, swooping down at an acute angle to the sea. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon of the 5th day. Even though the sailor is not presented as a philosopher, his adventure comprises many lessons. The one I choose is befriending your thoughts. I so often hear people say they want to escape their obsessive thoughts but cannot do it. And if they aren't obsessive, then making them stop for a change would be ideal. While I do agree with the idea that we are not our thoughts, I also believe that the thinking mind and the consciousness of having these thoughts are not always a bad thing. Maybe the possibility of being stranded at sea for 10 days is not likely, but we do live similar situations in our everyday life. The time spent on buses and trains, being stuck in traffic, waiting in line for something, we often get confronted with our thoughts. And even if nowadays we take refuge in our smartphones, there are times when real solitude is the only way. Having the ability to turn your attention to positive or constructive thoughts rather than anxiety and anger is one of the most precious skills I know. So next time you're in a traffic jam, think of our sailor and ask yourself, how would you pass time alone at sea for 10 days? It's real, it's intense, and you can almost smell the sea. Gabriel García Márquez said, "It is my favorite book and the first one I ever wrote." And for a first, it is spectacular. You can sense the storyteller preparing himself for history. A short yet intense book that transports and moves you along with the waves. We shall continue our sea exploration with a ritual of simplicity and reflection. Until then, enjoy your reading.